social media portrays success as millions and millions of dollars.
You are comparing yourself. You do have that ability to make big money if you're willing to put the work in, but a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Running a business can be a huge sacrifice. If there's no money left over, you don't get paid.
Anytime I'm going through a slump or going through a harder stage of my life, it's something in me that's changed. And I fix that issue within myself, I start enjoying the journey again.
It's a performance industry.
Yep.
You get out of it what you put into it. G'day, welcome back to the Ask the CEO podcast. My name's Seth. I'm one of the owners at Evella Group. Grew up in Adelaide. I got into the sales industry through Tom, who's actually one of my business partners. Through a few different types of sales, eventually moved into this industry and have been in this business now for, I think, 8 years.
9.5.
9.5. This is my friend, Mr. Kieran Denning. Kieran, actually, I've known for how long? Since I was 15,
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah.
And I actually met Kieran through church.
You guys worked together then?
Probably 12 and a half, 13 years.
Yeah, 13 years. Yeah, long time.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a long time, hey.
Yeah.
It's actually quite funny because sometimes you forget how long you've been doing it for, that there's some people at work that are like, ask you questions and you're like, you realize how young they are. And you're like, do you know, I've been doing this since you were 6. It was scary. I kind of don't like talking about that side of it when you're like, oh, wow. There's been a bit of an evolution of Evella. And to be honest, like, yeah, there's Tom and Ben who are my business partners, but I'd probably say there are like what feels like more partners at Evella as well. Like Kieran's someone who I say I work with. I wouldn't say like you work for or anything like that. Like, I'm sure you'd agree with that, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, Chris Titmus as well. I feel like he's someone I work with. Same with James and things like that. So, yeah, the evolution of Evella was we were working in education sales and we were running quite a big business there, which wasn't ours. And I was responsible for South Australia and New South Wales. Tom was responsible for Western Australia and Tasmania, and Ben was responsible for Queensland.
Yeah, I came over and I was contracting for Tom.
Yeah, it was quite a big organisation. I think we had about, between Ben, Tom and I, maybe 250 staff or something like that. And it worked under a government funding scheme, and that all changed overnight. So we were all made redundant on a Friday. And we flew to Perth and we knew some people who were working in this space and we ended up signing a contract with them. And we obviously couldn't bring everyone over, but a lot of our sales staff we brought over. We went from selling a product that I would say was like a very, it was a very high ticket value product compared to, you know, some of the stuff that we do now. Yeah. And it was the sales process was a lot longer.
Yeah, very
and more
sales
complicated.
process,
Yeah. Versus now where the sale, if you called it a subscription sale, it's quite quick.
Yeah.
I remember being really frustrated because I could never do above 3 sales. And it was frustrating because we'd come from an industry where we were considered like
The best.
Yeah. In the industry. Like the organizations that we were working for were probably the second largest.
Yeah. Yep.
Second largest. And then we came in, to it's still sales, but it was a different industry, so to say. And I suppose we had a real sense of pride and confidence and cockiness coming into it. And I do remember thinking, oh man, this is going to be so easy. And we came out and I remember feeling really frustrated because I was doing 2 and 3 sales and I couldn't get more than it for my first probably 3-4 weeks. Maybe it wasn't that long. Might have been 2 weeks. And then I remember I finally broke through. So, I feel like there's been quite a few evolutions of it. Yeah, I would say.
I think the funny thing was we didn't have a training system the same way that we do now. So for us, it was a very slow start that we didn't have people like training us and teaching us the ropes and being there every step of the way. Like a lot of the time for us, it was like, hey, this is what you got to do. And then they just threw us in and we had to figure it out.
Probably maybe one of our biggest changes, though, was when we aligned with Community Collective.
Yep.
And a lot of our processes and systems we amended and changed to be in alignment with Community Collective. So I feel like that was quite a big evolution. And for yourself, it was
probably the biggest one. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for you, Kieran, I know some people who know your story. That was a huge change for you because you were basically out the door
Yeah.
And it was the first community collective conference we went to.
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really changed it for you as well, because I know we had discussions where you were looking at doing something else, and you're basically
stepping
finished,
out,
right?
decided I was finishing up at
Yeah.
the end of that year. And so for me, that was like 6 years in the industry. I'd sort of hit my peak. We'd been doing a solo thing, and I'd been sort of top of the board for like that entire time. And I'd peaked, and like
And you were working, but towards the end of it though, you were kind of working part time.
Yeah.
Weren't you?
Yeah,
were doing like
I'd
2-3 days a week. You'd already started phasing out, right?
Yeah, I'd sort of been through a couple of rough things, divorce and things like that, and I'd cut down to 4 days a week of work. And
Should we get into that? No, I'm just kidding.
and
I'm sorry. Hang on, there's a few things you went through: divorce, crypto, all got
loss,
absolutely destroyed. What else?
I think that was the funniest moment of 2023. One of the funniest experiences. I was talking to
Some of the boys.
some of the owners. You know, I told my story, and I didn't have a chance. I hadn't talked to Patrick about it. And Patrick got up at the conference, and he's talking about all the things that could go wrong in your life. And he's like, you know, imagine
Could
if
get
like,
divorced.
yeah, if you lost your girlfriend, or you lost your wife, or you lost all your finances, and you're broke, and all this sort of stuff, and everything that he's listing off. I'm looking over at one of the boys that I've just been talking to about, and he's like trying not to
You're
laugh.
sitting there. Girl left me.
He's like,
tick.
tick.
Lost all
tick.
my money. Tick. Have no purpose. Tick.
Yep. It's like
What else was there? Surely there's a couple
everything
more
that could have
things.
gone wrong, like injuries, everything. It
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
hurt my back. Tick. Was it? Did you? Was it injured?
No, I was injured with a different
Crashed my
injury
car.
at the time. Yep.
Tick.
Yep. So it was like everything that could have gone wrong. Patrick was just, without even knowing my story, was just rattling these things
But
off. It's like
little
wild-
did you know,
yeah.
we like fed it. No, I'm kidding. No, can you imagine?
But yeah, everything that could have gone wrong
Slid
that
in
year
some
went
boats.
wrong, and I was just decided I was out. You know, I was done, and I was
Yep.
ready to move on to the next stage of my life. And we went to that conference, and it very much lit a fire in me that aligning with another business that is bigger and better, and you're working with people who have done more than what you've done before, makes you competitive.
Yep.
And I'm a very competitive person where I want to be the best, and if I'm not the best, then it's like it almost gets to the point that you don't want to try. But
And then you did, and my recollection was after that conference, I remember you sat down and had a conversation with Ben, Tom, and I, and said, "Hey, I want a new crack. I want a fresh start, right?" And I remember the nature of that conversation was, well, you know, this is how we're aligning with Community Collective. This is the progression pathway. This is the structure. Like, this is how it has to happen, right? You know, and you're like, nah, like I'm keen to do everything. And then I feel like, what year was that? 2023?
Beginning, yeah. So end of 2023. Like,
Or was it
I started
2022?
2024 that I started the
Was it
thing
2024?
that I started? Yeah.
Gotcha. And then from there, you started training, because you weren't at the time, you were basically working part-time, 3 days a week.
Yep.
You weren't looking after a team. You weren't looking after any
Yeah, I
individuals or
basically
anything
stopped
like that.
training and everything else.
Yeah,
sort of just
you were
floating.
very, very much had exited the business, because that was meant to be basically your last year. And so from there, started training again, started growing, had setbacks, kept going, eventually hit team leader.
Well, I made the decision that I was going to give it a year.
Yep.
And so I just decided that I'll go as hard as I could for a year. And I
But
set
you did it within that year.
Yeah, so I set a goal of I had a goal of hitting team leader in 3 months, and I was pissed off that I didn't. I got it in 5. And then I had a
life.
goal of hitting exec in 6, and I did it in 11.
11.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so it must have
11
been around November.
Yeah, it was November I hit
Because I do remember it was quite fun, at least. Still to this day, probably one of my favourite promotions, because we were having a leaders meeting. We said, "Hey, Kieren, we got to step out and have a quick conversation." And he said, "Oh, yeah, what's up?" And so we rolled down, went to this cafe, and fabricated this whole story about how, you know, there's huge problems in his team. There's all these issues. There's fraud. You know, we're going to have to let go like at least 5 of them, and all of these kinds of things. And the look on your face was just absolute despair.
was nagged.
just like looking down, going, yep, just accepting it, right? Just accepting. And unbeknownst to Kieren, they were setting up the whole office up here, right? And then we got a text message saying it's already come back up. And we're like, oh man, we better get back up. The meeting's about to start. So we're coming up the elevator. It's just like dead quiet. And then right before, and it's actually one of my favorite parts. And there's a video, you can actually see it on the promotion video, where your face turns from despair to relief. Because right before the elevator doors opened, I said, there's one more thing. And you just looked at me like, what? And I was like, it's all a lie. You're actually getting promoted today. And then the doors go bing and open and everyone's like cheering. And that's when you can see in your face, like, you jerks. But it was pretty fun. It was
a
pretty
good one.
fun.
You got me very, very well.
But I probably would say till this day, that's probably one of my favorite examples of someone who had been through a lot, had insane amount of setbacks, and who doubled down and then actually gave it a huge crack. And, you know, to your credit, like for sure, one of my most memorable moments from the journey of working with you, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
No, it was actually very rewarding. It was one of those things where you can very easily underestimate what you're capable of doing in a year if you put your mind to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy because I think about my 20s, right? And I got back from New Zealand, where in New Zealand, I was, without going in depth into it, I was working essentially a sales job for free, right? So I was preaching religion. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing harder to sell than religion, right? And, you know, I was doing that for free and it was awesome experience, loved it, right? So I just got back from New Zealand and my first job was at an engineering firm and I was getting paid, I think it was $20 an hour. And I thought that was like, I've made it, right? Like that blew my mind because like prior to that, like when I was like, you know, 18 before I left to go work there, I was getting paid like $13 an hour, right? And so I remember like when my bank account went from like, you know, however much money was in there when I got back, like, you know, $100 or something like that. My first paycheck hit and it was a bit over $1,000. Like I remember feeling successful. I was like, man, this is crazy. This is so cool. Like, how good is this? And I can even remember when my bank account hit $10,000 for the first time. And I remember thinking like, man, this is mental. And at the time, my mentality towards financial success was like, I thought I was successful 100%. And you know what? Like my opinion on it is it depends on what your definition is, right? Like back then there wasn't social media. I didn't have Instagram. Instagram wasn't a thing. Snapchat might have just got created, but so I think the thing that's really hard right now is social media portrays success as like millions and millions of dollars, yep. Right? Like, and I think that's where it's really difficult for people. And like, look, I don't know the statistics on this, but like, I know I work with a lot of people who have friends who struggle and there's a lot of mental health. And I think that's like, honestly, in my opinion, purely because of social media, because the definition of success is you need to drive a Lamborghini. You need to like, you know, have millions of dollars. You need to do this, you need to do that. But like, honestly, if I think back to my 20s when I was making $25 an hour, right? Which at the time, probably back then, this would have been 2012. Don't know what the minimum wage would have been, but it might have been something like $18 an hour. Like I was like, man, this is unreal. Yeah. Like this is unreal, you know? So I think like it does 100% skew people's mentality because there's people that come into like our workplace now who, you know, expect to be able to make crazy amounts of money but not put the work in because of something they saw us online. I
think like, the big thing is as well is that you get the people who underestimate what they can do in the business as well because they're only used to working a certain amount as well. You know, For me, I came from an industry where my family had a sawmill. Yep. And like I grew up not very well off. Like I worked hard at the sawmill, and like I got a really good work ethic there, because like the job had to get done no matter what, but you were only paid a certain wage. And it's one of those things where I used to get frustrated when you look at people who weren't working as hard as you. And you're like, why am I getting paid the same as this person, or sometimes less because they're older and on a higher wage? I'm like, I'm working harder than you, and you're getting paid more than me. And it was pretty frustrating. And you come into an industry like this where you can get paid what you're worth. And the harder you work and the more effort you put in, the more you make. And basically, like the higher parameters, like you're meeting, you can make it in the top 1% of Australians pretty easily if you're willing to put the work in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big definition of financial success for me, is that like when you are comparing yourself to others, which is very easy to do on social media, as they say, comparison's the thief of joy. But if you are comparing yourself to other people, it's like you do have that ability to make big money if you're willing to put the work in. But a lot of people aren't willing to do that. You know, they see people who are successful and they don't understand what work went in to get to that stage.
Yeah, which I agree with. The other thing I think about as well, right, is like I scroll my Instagram feed now and it's just full of like sports cars and this and, you know, people making squillions of dollars and you know, all this kind of stuff. And like, I don't know, I think it depends on like what your definition of success is, right? Yeah. Like there's a lot of people who don't necessarily want all those things, or they think that they want them, but they're not willing to put the work in to get them. And then there's plenty of people who are very, very happy to have enough to provide and live a good life and not necessarily like have to keep chasing like the next level of like wealth income.
It actually makes me think about like my experience in 2023 when I got hacked and lost my crypto. And it was just one of those things where it was...
Sorry for laughing.
No, it is. It's funny when you look back on it. Like, it's like I remember I got the news like halfway through a work day. I called the boys up. No, I called you guys up and I'm like, hey, look, this was going on.
I was with you and we were driving back from Rainbow.
No, that's when it first got flagged.
That's when you
and then I was working at Newmarket and I actually logged in and checked and I'm like, it's gone. And then I called you guys up. I came back to the office.
You were in the... Yeah, that's right.
And we figured everything out, found out it was all gone, and lost a significant chunk of money, and took the next day off, and then I was back at work the day after that because because
that's when I moved everything to cold storage.
Yeah, and my mindset was like, well, the money's not going to make itself back, so I've got to go to work. So that's what it did, and it's just like the nature of the beast. We're in an industry where you can make money quick, and if you do the right investments with it, you can invest money and make even bigger money quickly.
It's just like everything. You can make money quick, you can also lose it pretty quick.
Yeah. But that money wasn't going to make itself back. And so that was my mindset, is that if I was going to get the money back, I had to work for it.
Like I worked my ass off. Like I worked so hard in my 20s. Like that's all I did. Like almost to the point where maybe I worked too much, because I used to work, and then when I got home, I used to pull out my laptop and work, and to the point where like I wasn't very engaged with my family at home or anything like that. And two things I was obsessed with was work and the gym. And so I don't know, like to me, that was good balance, you know? Like most of my friends were at work and at the gym. I loved it. Like I loved making money. Like I was a bit of like, you know, maybe ever since I was a kid, like I've always loved kind of making money, to the point where like I'd get birthday money, right? As a little kid. And I remember, I reckon I was about 8 years old, and I had $1,000 in this little journal, which is a lot for an 8-year-old, right? Like I legitimately at the time thought like, man, I can retire. Like that's how much money it was in my mind. And my oldest sister knew that I had that money, and so she'd always ask to borrow money off of me, and she'd be like, oh, can I borrow $50? I'm like, yeah, for sure, but you got to pay me back 55. And so she always used to do it. So I don't know, but I always just like loved making money. Like but not everyone does. Not everyone does. And like, don't get me wrong, like money is definitely not the be all end all. Like there's so many things in life that are so much more valuable, like your family and things like that. But in my 20s, like I loved it. Like there was no part of me that hated going to work. You know, I don't know. I think it's important to work and work hard.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's very, very important, especially for men. It's like we've got to have a purpose. If we're not working towards something actively, like we get bored, we get stale, and like, we don't go anywhere. So,
like I would argue that idleness is like, it was a saying, I think it was a saying I heard. It was like an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're looking at the evolution of Evella, I think the last year and a half of going onto the road trip model has changed things a lot, because we are working 2 weeks on and 1 week off. And for me, I mean, it's not really a week off because I'm doing a lot of work in that week off being a partner. But for most people, they've got the ability to work hard and then play hard. So they work hard for 2 weeks and then they've got a whole week off that, if you don't learn how to like balance your relationships properly, it is a very hard thing to do. Like when you're away from friends and family for 2 weeks at a time, sometimes you get back and everyone's working and you might just be at home alone and things like that. But once you learn how to balance that properly and find joy in the journey, it makes things so much easier. And I find that my work-life balance is probably the best it's been for a long time.
That just like resonated to me because I thought like, all right, what is work-life balance, right? It's like just being present when those moments occur. Like when you're at work, like how many times are people at work but mentally at home?
Yeah.
Right? Or they're at home but mentally they're at work. Having balance is about being present with what your schedule is. It makes sense to me. Like be present. Like if you're at the gym, like be present and like do your gym exercise, right? Like you could be at the gym and pump out your gym workout in an hour, or you could be distracted and it could take you like an hour 40.
Yeah.
Right?
And still not get the same results as what you do.
Yeah.
If you work hard.
And so I don't know, that was like, it felt relevant to me because I realized that I was doing that.
Yeah.
Like I'd be at work thinking about like other things or whatever, or I'd be at home and I'd be doing work, or I'd be at the gym and I'd be distracted with like something else. And so
it's one of the principles we teach with like the 6 p.m. box.
Yep.
It's like having that ability to focus on what's important at the time.
Yep.
And like if you're distracted by anything, you're never going to be effective at doing two things at the same time. There's no such thing as being able to like balance two things at the same time. We talk about the 6 o'clock box where if you've got an issue going on, if you can't fix it straight away, like deal with it later.
Yeah.
Like focus on one thing at a time and you'll be way more productive at that one thing that you're focusing on.
Okay guys, so we're going to get into the first segment of the podcast called Rapid Fire. I'm going to ask you a series of questions to our guest, Kieren, and these questions will range from multiple choice questions to long-winded, and there'll even be some questions in there that are just 2 words and you've got to pick between the 2 as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
All right, fire away.
What's harder, recruiting or selling?
Recruiting.
What's the biggest sales killer?
I think not having a clear-cut goal for the week of what you need to be doing and a direction you need to be going in.
Confidence or skill?
Confidence.
What motivates you more? Money, growth, or impact?
At this stage of my life, impact.
What's the best way to get out of a sales slump?
Hard work, like outworking your self-doubt.
What's one thing every new rep gets wrong?
Ooh. The amount of work it actually takes to be successful, the learning curve.
Name a trait of a top performer.
ADHD.
What's more important, attitude or work ethic?
Attitude. I will never do a donut. My team will never see me perform below what I need to be doing. Because I can't ask my team to do something that I'm not willing to do myself.
Doing a donut?
Yeah, I'll never do a donut.
What's a donut?
A zero in a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you... Oh, no, like,
in a car. You know when people ask that question, what would you do if you won like $100 million or whatever it is? I honestly would still work.
Yeah, same. I've got a very different approach. So for me, you got people who love their job, and they
And
enjoy
people who job their love.
don't love your job your love.
Don't crack your fingers.
But for me, it's like you've got jobs that you love to do, and you've got
Dudes that you love to job.
jobs that pay for you to do the things you love.
Sorry.
But no, you got the jobs that you love to do. You got people who like really do and love their job, but then you got jobs that pay for you to do the things you love. So if you've got expensive hobbies, things like that, then like that's the other way that you can like really enjoy your job is if it's actually doing something for you that is getting you somewhere else in life as well. Because some people like will just be in the complete opposite, where they're working a job they don't love and they don't have anything that they love to do either, and then they're just miserable. So it's like the two ways to be happy is to have a job that you love, or have something that pays for you to do the things you love.
Or job
to.
you love.
Yeah, job you love. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends on your job. I think some people are lucky enough to literally have the job of their love. Does that make sense? Because now I'm throwing myself into this whole job you love your job. No, look, some people are lucky. Like, some people are lucky to like love what they do, right? I didn't grow up and dream to do the type of work that we do, right? Like, I wouldn't say it's something that I love. What I would say is I love the opportunity. Like, and I think if everyone's being really honest, like cold contacting sales makes people uncomfortable.
Yep.
And that's what I mean by it, right? Like, is like there was no part of me that was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I love this, right? It made me really uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean you can't be good at it, right? And like, I very much had to really stretch and get outside my comfort zone to get good at it, right? And what it was that made me do that, and I suppose what my drive was the opportunity.
I think I absolutely understand where you're coming from too, because I've felt that same way many times. Like, I've had a very different journey to you, where I've been selling my entire sales career. Yep. You know, it's like I've been like out and about doing the face-to-face sales every single day. And you do go through those stages where like let's be honest, there's not many people in the world that can do what we do.
I think it's like are you willing to get outside your comfort zone? And I would say
and stay out of it. Yeah.
I'd stay outside of it. I agree. Like, and you probably see this. You've just been away to America for a large portion of time.
Yep.
Absolutely, no doubt. The first, your first cold contacting customer that you have to speak with, like, you're gonna be nervous, right? Like,
every single day, my first person I talk to is stepping out of my comfort zone every day.
So. And look, I don't know if that's how everyone feels, but like, that's me being really, really honest. Yeah. Like, there's no part of me that grew up and went, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? An ice cream man. I don't know, whatever it is that people want to be. There was no part of me that was like, oh man, I want to be a salesperson and cop abuse and deal with rejection every single day because of this, and this. It's like, literally, the thing that I love about it is the opportunity that it presents, because the opportunity is so unique to majority of other jobs out there, right? Where you can't and don't have control over what your income's going to be. Right. But it's a double-edged sword, right? You get out of it what you put into it. And if you're a lazy person and someone who goes, oh, I'm just going to do enough to like keep my job or whatever it is, then like, it's not going to be very great for you. Like, but if you're someone who's just going, you know what, I want to see how far I can go and get the most out of it, then 100% it's fantastic. Right? Because it's it's a performance industry. And I very much compare it to sports, where like, who are the highest paid sports players? They're the best.
Just the ones that perform the best,
Exactly. And so I don't see it as any different to that, right? And like, absolutely no doubt, you take some of the, best sports people in the world, and if you just looked at Michael Jordan, and I, don't fact check me on this story, but I believe he didn't make his school basketball team, right? And I think if you look at it, he was someone who worked so hard, worked harder than everyone else, put more time in than everyone else, and like, everything he did was like more than everyone else, and became, arguably the greatest player of all time. And I know there's people that argue that he's, it's LeBron or whatever it is. But the point is, it's a performance industry. And the reason why he became one of the highest paid players is because he was one of the hardest working.
Yeah, he did talk about that. It's like everyone talks about the amount of shots that he hit, but not the amount that he missed. Yeah.
But that's where I just look at Community Collective, and Community Collective, right, is not branded as a sales company. It's branded as an organization that helps people to develop an unwavering confidence in themselves and overcome self-doubt, right?
Yep.
Who do sales?
I mean, I'll expand on it a little bit more. For me, like, this is something that people call me up and network with. It's one of my most talked about topics that people want to know when they're talking, like when they're calling me up to network. And I feel that, like, it's not an easy job that we do. It's not easy at all. And like, you're right. Like, no one wakes up and says, hey, I want to be going out and just getting rejected all day, every day. It's like, it's a lot of rejection. But the thing that makes it easier for me is passion and purpose. And for me, it's like I find that anytime I'm going through a slump or going through a harder stage of my life, it's usually something that it's not the job. I'll start hating the job or making the job will be difficult. And it's not the job, it's something in me that's changed. And it's usually the fact that I've lost direction or I don't have the goals or I'm not feeling passionate about what I'm doing. And the moment I change that and I fix that issue within myself, then all of a sudden I start enjoying the journey again.
Yeah.
And I've got something that's worth working hard towards, and it makes the job so much easier. And I get a lot more, I get a lot more wins from it and makes the job a lot more enjoyable.
Makes it easier.
Yeah. Being a performance industry, it's like you're not getting paid if you're not performing. And so at the very beginning, a lot of people will go through a bit of a grind where, you know, they're not making the money they think they should be making or having that same ability. But the more you put in, the more you get back. And so if you're getting to the point where you're getting amazing skills at what you do and you go out at sales and then you're building a team and you're teaching that's where the big money starts coming in. And all of a sudden, like, you're doing really less work for more money.
Look, and don't get me wrong, like in this industry, like if you're like, the opportunity is amazing, right?
Yeah.
So the opportunity to come into this industry at an entry level, to get promoted and promote yourself to a team leader, exec manager, partner, and owner. When you're, and I'm sure a lot of business owners agree with this, but running a business can be a huge sacrifice, right? Because when you're running a business, you're responsible for so much, and you're also the last person to get paid,
Yep.
which is either amazing or horrible,
Yep.
depending on how much money is left over, right? Like if there's no money left over, like you don't get paid, right? However, if there is, then it can be fantastic, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how your business, and you know, I'm sure there's so many business owners out there who are going, hey, yeah, the sacrifice is 100% worth it. And there's some business owners out there who like, sadly have been crippled, and you've seen that. Like I know business owners who got crippled during COVID.
Yep.
Right? And businesses completely shut down. There's actually one who you might remember him. He was in the building that we're in before we moved into this one, and you know, lucky for him, he was a builder, but he also ran a brewery.
Yep.
And he said his building company bankrupt.
Yep.
He had to bankrupt it. However, the brewery that he was running, he goes, we can't get the orders out fast enough
Because everyone's sitting at home drinking.
Yeah, 100%. And so they were pumping it out.
Yeah.
And like, look, like his situation, you look at it and go, oh, well, at least one of the businesses is working well. But no doubt there is hundreds or thousands or however many of stories of businesses during that time that either thrived or died. Right. So
I think the biggest thing for me is that, like, if I look at it this way, you've got two options with this industry. If you look at it, if you wanted to get to the point of being a business owner, you got two paths. One is you go to university for 4 years, and then you get a business degree and you come out and you've got to try and get a job in a business and work your way up through. Or you can start in something like this, and like how far could you actually go in 4 years of this industry?
you don't need a degree to start a business.
No, you don't. But like,
you generally need money.
Yeah, absolutely. But
that's the biggest thing that is different to this industry is usually starting a business. But the majority of the time, maybe bar some exceptional circumstances, you need capital.
Yep.
Right, and that's the opportunity that we offer that is very unique to starting a business, because when we started Evella, right, we didn't go through the same channels. Like, we had to put up the capital for it, right? However, the opportunity that's available for people now is to promote themselves to a point where they can become a business owner, but they're doing it along the way with support and building a team.
As they go.
Yeah. So
do you remember that girl that started work for us that just got out of uni? She'd done the communication degree and she struggled to do the job. She did like 4 years of communication and didn't have the skill set to even talk to people. She lasted like 2 weeks.
Can't remember, but there is that. I can't remember who said it. But they reckon working in a face-to-face sales job for 2 years is the equivalent. There was some study done. Yeah. They reckon it was the equivalent of like studying a communications degree for like 6 years or something crazy like that.
Yep.
You know, I think the book Rich Dad Poor Dad says one of the best things you can do is go do a face-to-face cold selling sales role.
Okay, so we're going to get into our final segment of the day, and it's called What's the Call? I'm going to give you both a sales scenario, and you're going to try your best to answer me with what you would do in this scenario. What's the call? So your scenario is A team leader has a rep who is also one of their closest friends. They moved interstate together, lived together, and have helped each other through some of the toughest periods of their life. The rep was once one of the strongest people in the office, but over the last 6 months, things have changed. They're regularly late, their production has dropped, and they've become increasingly negative around newer reps. The team leader has tried addressing it, but every conversation quickly becomes personal. The challenge is that the rest of the team is starting to notice a few reps have already questioned whether standards apply equally to everyone. The team leader comes to you and says, I know this needs to be dealt with, but if I push too hard, I could lose one of my best mates. What's the call?
I would have a discussion with the team leader to present option A, which is where they have a discussion with the rep, or option B, where I have a discussion with the rep, or option C, we both sit down and have a discussion with the rep. Because if the standards have dropped to the point where it's causing issues throughout the rest of the team, then I'm assuming that those standards are like, it's becoming quite a hindrance. And so either way, like there needs to be an outcome that's found.
Yep.
You know, because otherwise it sounds like it's becoming toxic. And I think like, look, if they're really good friends, for sure, I can understand how that might be a difficult conversation for them. But at the end of the day, like work needs to be work, and it's great having friends at work and friendships. But I feel like that conversation can fully be handled in a way where that individual would fully understand. And I reckon that individual fully would be very aware that the standards have dropped, and I don't think they'd disagree with it or anything like that. Yeah. It'd just be whether the team leader's comfortable having that conversation or would like assistance with it.
I think it's very much, it's got to come from a position of love from that team leader. If it's that person is one of their best friends, then they've got to come from a position where they're addressing something from a level of concern, from like, hey, look, you know, like what's going on, try and find out what the issue is, and then like just tell them that they obviously love him enough that they care about him enough that they want to see him performing and not dropping off. Yeah. And if you can't have that chat with your friends, then are they really a good friend? So
yeah, for sure. And I think like you can look at it as well. Like it's very like if you say the standards have dropped, like are we talking about the standards in results or the standards in like culture as well? Because like you can have someone who's great for culture, but their results are a bit lower. And I feel like that person's much easier and less toxic to work with than someone whose results are good, but are very toxic for culture as well. Yeah. That's like a much more dangerous person to have in your business.
And one of my favourite sayings is, what we tolerate today becomes acceptable tomorrow.
It's your favourite.
And it's something I live by. If you've got someone that's not willing to like draw the line and hold the standards of what you're living by, if that's what your team standards are and they're not living by them, then you've got to be able to have that chat with them and call them up on them. And they've got to be able to, it's got to be a two-way street there. They've got to be able to call you out on it too if you're not doing the same thing. And I think that's where it comes from, a position of love more than power.
Well, Mills, thank you for having us on the podcast today. I feel like it was great having two 30-year-olds give advice on what people should do in the 20s, right? Honestly, this is not financial advice. Anything that we've said cannot be legally held against us in a court of law. My biggest takeaway was don't love your job.
I think for me, the biggest thing I took away today was the sacrifices that we make in this job. And having the ability to be able to create a work-life balance and getting like the importance of direction when things are going tougher for you.
I feel like my biggest takeaway, or the thing that I enjoyed discussing the most, was just, work-life balance isn't necessarily about juggling, but about being present.
I think the big thing I've thought about as well is like, it's been fun just reminiscing with you about the last 9.5 years in this industry.
I don't know.
It's
kind of
been
fun.
A wild ride.
It's kind of fun until you realise like something was 15 years ago. And then, well.
Well, for me, it's that thing that when you've got people that you enjoy working with, the job is just so much easier. Like working with friends, it just makes the journey enjoyable.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think you're lucky if you can work with people that you like working with.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there would be a lot of people that don't. Mm-hmm. So 100%. What's one of your focuses for the year?
My focus for the year is to get my team to 25 reps.
25. Yeah,
Yeah.
how are you going to do that?
So that is through heavy recruiting and stabilizing the team as I go. So there's no point recruiting a lot if you're losing people. So just making sure that I'm training people to the best of my ability to keep them for a long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, making people see the vision and be part of it.
And you've flown all the way back from America to do that.
Yeah, I got in yesterday. I've been away for 4 weeks, so
Yeah. What a guy. So please like, subscribe, and follow kidsventures.com.au. No, what's your Instagram handle?
It's Kids Ventures now. It was Kids Venture,
Ventures.
but I lost that one last year, so.
Yeah. We won't talk about
No.
that. Thank you, Kieran, for joining this episode of Us CEO.
Well, thanks for having me.
Even though technically I'm not the CEO.
Yeah, well, thanks for being the CEO that I get to ask.
I'm technically the director, so it should be called Ask the Director.
Ben!
Thanks, Millie, for making us get outside our comfort zones and talk about this.
Looking forward to seeing a 30-second reel of this.
I hope you guys got something out of this. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Yay!
Should we bust out some great quotes like?
Don't love your job. Job your love.